Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. It's a new day, another opportunity to either make money in the market or to learn from the market, y'all. But let me go ahead and give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth, and the stock market is just one of those avenues. This video is for educational purposes only. With that being said, y'all, let's get started. So we are looking at the VIX, and as you can see, it has given us created a gathering spot for us right here. So the support level is at the 15, was at, let me rephrase that, was at the 1529, and the resistance was at the 1545. So right now it looks as if the 5 EMA is it's right there at the 1529, which is very close to the 5 EMA at 1530, right? So if the VIX breaks past this place, then we will have to still break the 20 EMA and, this top line here, which is at 1545, in order to get to the 1555, which is another set of problems. I always ask myself, where am I going to have trouble, right? So to the upside, those are our trouble places, right? Which is, the 1541, 1545, and 1555. To the upside, those are trouble places on this 30-minute chart. So to the downside, if VIX continues down, 1490 will be our support area. And I always go to the VIX because it kind of helps me understand what's going on with the SPY. So normally when the VIX is down, the SPY is normally up. So let's go to the SPY. So the SPY is an inside day candle, let me say that, right? So it created a gathering spot. This is our 4 o'clock, round here is our 4 o'clock candle. The support at that time was 518.31 and the resistance was 519.04. So as you can see, we have broken out of that gathering spot based on this 30-minute chart, and being that it is an inside day candle, the trigger is 520.18, meaning if SPY breaks above 520.18, then the target today is 520.44. And is it doable? It is. It's very doable. Let me say that. And let me see how much SPY moves per day. And I look at that based on the daily chart. The ATR for the SPY today is $4.27. So it could very well move $4.27 today. That's something to be mindful of. So to the downside, let's look at the downside. Right now we had yesterday supported, I had 501.18 marked for some reason. We tested that 501.18. I think that was pre-market this morning. And it's right at the ATR trail and stop at 518.06, which is kind of close to where that pre-market low was. So if the SPY decides to go to the downside, let's say that, then if it breaks below this 518.06, we have broken through a level of support, and the trigger to the downside for the inside day would have been at the 517.89. So if we break 517.89, let's see where our target is for the SPY. We could very well test 514.01. So those are, if you trade the SPY, I would say trade carefully, watch those levels. Again, not financial advice, but again, SPY is an inside day. Keep in mind, we have economic data tomorrow. Anything is possible. Trade carefully. We have broken out of the gathering spot, and we are very much close to the inside day trigger, and we could very well break through that, test this and come back to the downside. We don't know. We trade what we see. Let's look at NVDA. NVDA, I marked two areas of consolidation or gathering spots this morning. It's when the market first opened at 4 a.m. it seemed as if this here 870.74 and 873.45, 870.74, is our support area, and 873.45 is our resistance area, and that's just the zone that it was trading in. Well, we broke out of that area. It's breaking out of the gathering spot. That's exactly what happened, right? So it came down and it has created us another gathering spot, which is right there at the 5 EMA. So right now the 5 EMA is our support, and that's at 869.50. So 869.50 and above, we could very well come and test this 870.86. So again, NVIDIA is trading at a place that I would say be careful, because we could very well continue to the upside, right? We had a candle here that gave us a signal that we could probably go back to the upside, this green hammer on the 30-minute, but we have trouble at the 870.86, and then again at the 873.65, and at the 876.26. All of those areas are trouble places, which, that 876.26 is the ATR trailing stop, and in my opinion that is very strong support and or resistance. Normally when it tests this area, and it normally tests and get rejected, or if it's a strong move, sometimes it tests and break through that. So you have to be very careful in when if you're using the ATR trailing stop. I've just known it to be very strong support or very strong resistance. So if you trade NVIDIA, I say trade carefully. It is kind of like you're trading in a range again. It has a little bit of trouble to the upside looking at it on the 30-minute chart. Let's go to the 1 hour and see if we're, and on the 1 hour it's kind of like in the same place. 872.73 and then 877.57 are trouble places. 885.32, which is the ATR trailing stop on the 1 hour, or we can go up to the 891.04. So that's why I use the moving averages. It helps me with support and resistance, and it's been helpful. Let me say that. So again, if you trade NVIDIA, I would say be very, very careful today. It too is trading within a range, and it's that 5 EMA is support. If we break that level, then it could very well continue to the downside. And let me see if I have any to the downside on this 4-hour chart for NVIDIA. If we break the levels that I mentioned before, we could very well come down and test this 833.62, and it's right here at a gap. NVIDIA still has a gap that needs to be filled at the 837.19 to the 823. That's something to be mindful of. If you trade NVIDIA, there is a gap that needs to be filled. And let's see how much NVIDIA moves today. I think it's $31.76. So it could very well move $31 today to the upside, or $31 to the downside. That's something to think about, something to be mindful of. It seems as if we're holding support right now at this 5 EMA. So that's interesting to know, right? So AMD is another one. Today AMD was interesting. It was moving. This is our gathering spot, and as you can see, it's been trading in this zone ever since 4 o'clock, right? And the support that I had marked was at the 169.93. The resistance was at 170.43, and we're right there. We tested the high of this candle is 170.65. It looks like we've tested to try to break out of this gathering spot. AMD is an inside day, which is interesting, right? So if it decides to go to the upside today, then 171.58 is the trigger, meaning it needs to break through 171.58 and hold above that. If it does, then the target is 172.69, which is really not far from this 200 EMA on the 30-minute chart at 174.08. So that's something to be mindful of, or something to think about, right? So if it decides to come to the downside, let's say that the support is at the 168.57, which is ATR trailing stop right here. So the downside trigger, meaning if it breaks below the 166.79, then AMD can come down to the 165.58. That's something to be mindful of today. If you trade AMD, I always say trade carefully, because the market can do whatever it does, right? That's something to think about. And this here is I normally, looking at it on the 5-minute, you don't want to trade areas like this. You want to make sure that it gives you a clear signal. You have a clear signal with your MACD. You have a clear signal as to what's going on in the market. And I'm going to go to Tesla. Tesla is Tesla. So Tesla, to me, it's been kind of, it ran up yesterday, but again, it ran up on that robotaxi news. But I would say trade carefully. The support that I had marked this morning for pre-market was 172.17. The resistance was at 172.72, which is not a lot in between, as you can see. Normally Tesla is up a few dollars or down a few, So I would say if you're trading Tesla, trade carefully today. It is above the 20 EMA and that resistance area so it seems like it's trying to break out of the gathering spot, but those two candles are not really good candles and to the upside, in my opinion, right? So right now the support for Tesla is at the 173.13. We could very well stay here and bounce, or we can come back down to break through those levels of support back to the downside. And I'm going to look at Tesla on a higher time frame just to see, do we have any areas? Yeah, Tesla just seen, this is the 4 hour chart. The 200 EMA on the 4 hour chart is right here at the 172, looks like 172.47 area. If we break below that, then we've broken through a strong level of support for Tesla, which is 200 EMA. On the 4 hour chart, it came down and tested this 20 EMA, which is at 171, I'm sorry, 171.65. If we break this level, we have broken a strong level of support on the 4 hour chart also, and we could very well come back down and test this 165.60 on the 4 hour chart. But one of the things I pay attention to is this 5 and 50 crossing. I'm not sure if you can see that on this 4 hour chart. When the 5 and 50 cross, in my opinion, to the upside, it is bullish, meaning it could very well go back to the upside. So looking at this on a higher time frame on the 4 hour chart, Tesla could very well, if we break, stay where we are now and break those other levels of resistance, we could very well come up and test the 182.10. Right, that's something to be mindful of. Again, I always say trade what you see. I look at the higher time frames to give me a little bit clearer, as far as a clearer picture. But again, nothing is guaranteed in the market. We just use this as a guide, and anything is possible. Anything can change, right? Let's say that anything is possible and anything can change. So right now, Tesla is kind of like giving us creating us a gathering spot. It's trying to break above those areas. Again, our trouble places right now for Tesla, it seemed to have a good ways up. It could very well run today. It's been kind of like gathering here. It could very well run today. Again, be mindful of the news that we have tomorrow. This is the 5 minute time frame, and as you can see, we've been moving up. The 5 and the 50 did cross here about 7:30 this morning. We had a confirmation with this MACD crossing. So again, trade carefully and be wise in your decision making. And if one of the things that I had to learn, y'all, is if whatever reason you got in the trade, if it goes against that, get out. It's okay to get out and get back in and just live to trade again, versus losing all of what you put in when you could have just cut your loss or set your stop loss. And yeah, that is very important, being able to get out of your trades when it's not working for you or when it's going against you. So yeah, I hope this is very, very helpful, y'all. Again, I'm going to go back to the SPY and see where we are. Yeah, SPY is very close to reaching that target of 520.18 pre-market, right? So we could have a run today and probably sell off. Let me say that, because I'm not sure if people want to hold for, the CPI information tomorrow. So that's something to think about if you're holding positions. Be careful at that, because we have economic data coming out tomorrow, and it can move the market in either direction. I always say trade carefully, trade what you see. So again, y'all, I hope these are very, very helpful. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that everyone have an awesome day today. And yeah, be blessed as well as a blessing unto others. Until next time.